Hello everyone and welcome. I know I talk a lot in these Loretime videos about how much potential for great depth and complexity some characters have, and how it's sad that that potential just doesn't actually get capitalized anywhere in the story. But today, I'll be doing exactly the same again, because the writers really have absolutely no idea anymore what to do with Sana. It especially pains me to say this for Sana, because she has some absolutely fantastic setup and a rather unique twist to her personality. And I'll be going deeper into this later in the video, but first off, let's quickly go over her magical girl story and see what kind of person Sana really is. We start out with Sana staring at a Mr. Persalot keychain, who is a fictional cat from a TV show. She starts rambling about it to Iroha, but after noticing what she's saying, Sana immediately apologizes, and this is something that you will see crop up many times, since we are already looking at an integral part to Sana's character that is a result of the abuse that she has endured. We then see a flashback to Sana's earlier life. As a young child, Sana's biological father died, and so her mother married into another family, the Futaba family. There, Sana gets yelled at for every little mistake she makes, and whenever she requires help with anything, she is shut down immediately and reprimanded for it. Because her stepbrothers are both a lot more successful at schools and sports, they get all of the attention of Sana's parents, while Sana is being continually pushed further and further to the side. This culminates in her parents effectively removing her from the family and breaking off most contact with her, telling her that she will now be ignored and treated as if she didn't exist. Of course, it goes without saying that this qualifies as child neglect and child abuse, and if Child Protective Services ever found out about this, Sana would have been taken away immediately, but I will get to that again after the MSS. For now though, Sana mentions that she doesn't have any friends left except for one single friend, a stray alley cat that she named Miss Purse. Sana visits Miss Purse and feeds her every day, and Sana mentions that Miss Purse probably lives in Animal Village, the fictional place that Mr. Persalot also lives in. And these visits continue on every day, until one day, Sana wasn't able to find Miss Purse anymore, probably because the cat died. Sana kept looking for Miss Purse, but is unable to find her and conclude that Miss Purse must have gone back to Animal Village. Back at school, Sana manages to make a friend in a girl who also likes Mr. Persalot. Sana spends some time enjoying her newfound friendship, but it doesn't last long, because someday a classmate steals a keychain and tosses it around the room while mocking Sana, and Sana looks to her friend for help, but her friend decides to ignore her, after which Sana decides to stop going to school, and she makes one last phone call to her friend in which she apologizes to her and then breaks off all contact with her. At this point, Kyubey appears and explains the world of magical girls to Sana. Sana's instinctive first thought at this point is to run away and be taken to Animal Village with her wish. But instead, she wishes to disappear and become invisible, while berating herself for her own weaknesses. Back in the present, Iroha then continues her conversation with Sana about Mr. Persalot, which causes Sana to actually be happy for once. Now that we are done with her MSS, we're going to start the deep dive into Sana's psyche, but before we do, I need to go on a very quick tangent. I do not like it when people prescribe fictional characters with real mental illnesses for two big reasons. First off, it tends to romanticize those illnesses, and I don't think something that causes harm to real people should be romanticized. Secondly, it tends to be used as a quick out to bypass any real discussion about a character. Like, for example, why worry about the motivations behind Alina's behavior when you can just throw your hands up in the air and say, "Yup, she's crazy," and just move on. Even the Joker has well-defined goals and motivations, even though no one would ever describe him as sane. Because of that, I will not prescribe Sana with any sort of mental illness. However, there is still quite a lot to talk about on this topic regarding Sana. Given the fact that Sana was a victim of child abuse, it's safe to say that it did leave some marks on Sana's psyche. Something that I myself am much too aware of, since I was close friends with a person who was also a victim of severe child abuse and had required professional psychological help for their entire life. So most of the things that I am about to talk about are things that I myself know to be true from a real example. What we know about Sana from the way she acts in main story and from her as a playable character, Sana is someone who wants to protect the people that she cares about. But this is already a pretty weird realization, because Sana has been beaten down her entire life at this point why would she want to protect people? More so, why is Sana always so quick to apologize to everyone? Even when Sana knows she hasn't done anything wrong, and even when the other person is completely at fault, Sana herself always apologizes first. The reason for this is both simple and depressing. People that have suffered from abuse like this are likely to develop a submissive personality that includes apologizing way too often. It also often leads to inferiority complexes, with people thinking they are worth less than other people, and therefore other people are meant to be protected over them. It is important to note that Sana really does believe that it is she herself that it is at fault for all the bad things that have happened to her. She tells us as much when she makes a wish, and this is one of the most destructive aspects of this entire thing. The abused will often believe that they themselves are to blame for having been abused. I know a lot of people will often argue, for example, that either Sana should have used her wish or her magical girl powers to get back at her family in some way, to do bad things to them as a revenge. But not only is Sana too good of a person to be falling into the trappings of revenge, but more so, Sana herself doesn't consciously believe that her family is to blame for what happened to her. This also leads into Sana not being able to make any friends, because she has become a timid person who is quick to blame themselves for everything, and so Sana does not allow any person to get close to her, and even when she once made a friend, her nature caused her to give up on a friendship at the first sign of trouble. So we can conclude that through her early life experiences, Sana has been molded into this submissive personality that blames herself for everything bad that happens. But there is another side to all of this. A magical girl's weapon and magic reflects their inner desires and personality traits. That is why Sana uses a shield and protects other people. But then why can she summon medieval torture tools from her shield? Why is that her ultimate attack? Why does Sana look away and cower when she attacks this way, even though it's her attack? And why does Sana have two doppels, which are also rather gruesome and bloody actually? For a long time I've peddled the following theory. While Sana isn't officially shown to suffer from a mental illness, it is still highly likely that Sana was supposed to have suffered from a personality disorder as an effect of her abuse at some point in earlier development, but that aspect was scrapped later. Her weapons and doppels are both a big testament to this possibility, especially since not only is she the only character in the entire game who can summon two different doppels, one that protects and one that tortures, but also that this does happen at random. A doppel is basically the character's witch, and a witch is based heavily on the current mental state that a character is in when they become a witch. This is why Homura has two different doppels in the lore. One is the Witch of the Mortal World, if Homura becomes a witch during the events of the original Madoka Mágica, and the other is the Nutcracker Witch during Rebellion. And yet it is very telling that Sana randomly summons either of the two doppels, almost as if she was mentally unstable. As I mentioned earlier, I won't be telling you that Sana does have a personality disorder, but I also find it highly suspicious that Sana incorporates this unique duality in her that no other character has. However, it was also possible that the developers weren't thinking much about any of these possibilities when designing Sana, and simply decided that since Sana is someone who has suffered psychological damage as an after effect of her abuse, that she just should have something really fucked up hiding underneath her surface, a more brutal and vicious side that has been created from her suffering. Which would be why Sana is interested in medieval torture as a hobby, and why she attacks with torture tools in her normal attacks and her magia. But also why she herself is cowering, because Sana does not actually like this side of her, but she is unable to control it. And this is what lies at the core of Sana. A pained spirit molded by her suffering who outwardly wants to protect, but inwardly has hidden desires to brutally torture and slaughter her enemies. So this is where we would then go and say, well, what has happened to Sana is now in the past, what has happened does not define Sana anymore from this point onwards, and she is now creating her own new identity, her own goals, her own motivations, and we can move forward from here, right? But sadly, this is the point where we also have to realize that after Sana's main story chapter and her magical girl story, she did not get a whole lot to do anywhere. She becomes more brave throughout the main story, yeah, but apart from that, barely anything happens with Sana as a character, and she is perpetually stuck as the character that we see at the end of her MSS. Sana, like many other characters, fall into this category of characters that have a great setup but ultimately don't go anywhere because the writers just aren't willing to evolve them. I know people usually like to argue that, well, this is because it's a mobile game and the developers, they simply can't give all of the characters enough time in the spotlight to evolve them. But I heavily disagree with this, because Sana is part of the protagonist group of 5, appears in a multitude of other events and stories all over the place. She gets plenty of opportunities to evolve as a character, to move forward, to do something special. And yet the only thing that really happens to Sana is that she learns to become more assertive. While that is good and is a great part of her character moving forward, it's still not nearly enough for a character as central to the protagonist side of the story as Sana. I know I also joke a lot about how the writers hate Sana, since she had to go through a lot of unjust suffering. But even outside of her MSS, she just cannot catch a break. Most notably the fact that Sana is always sticking very close to Iroha, mostly because Iroha was the person to save her, and so she has now attached herself to her. And Iro-Sana is a rather popular ship, and Sana's only major ship outside of her ship with Manaka, which is pretty legit by the way, watch Manaka's MSS. Yet Iroha is already getting hardcore ship with Yachio, and so Sana will just not ever get as close to Iroha as Yachio does. All in all, Sana has become an extremely popular character within My Hero Record, and she definitely deserves the attention, yet I just still hope they will actually make use of Sana's character for anything important someday. So yeah, that was that. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Hit that subscribe button, and as a last bonus, if you're interested in another piece of entertainment media that tackles the issues of child abuse, I can only recommend the YouTube web series Petscop. Simply search for Petscop in the search bar, and after watching some episodes you should probably watch some explanations and analysis videos. That is where most of the fun with Petscop lies. And with that, I will see you guys next time.